is gonna take though? Because
it's not going to take that long, because what
okay,
you asked for is a way um to tie the method to your
yeah,
logic.
okay,
So here, what I'm showing you is, let me clear this. So this is what's called a button, but it's tied to what's called an action listener. So let me do another screen share. So this is just a GUI, an
yeah,
example of what it's doing. So it's basically taking numbers and converting them to text. So let me do another screen
yeah.
share. Let me clear this. We'll look at the actual code. There's the Crimson editor, and then go back to the GUI. As you can see, there's what's called the J panel that I'm highlighting here,
I can't
and
see it though. Sorry.
that's fine. You can review the playback once you get your computer back up, and I'll drop the YouTube link into the chat, so that way you can
Yeah.
review it later. Um, so there's two things. There's JPanel, which is this whole thing, and the what's called an event listener, but this one's called action listener. But let's just skip all that, because that's something that you probably read about already, to do a GUI, right? Or are you at a GUI stage yet?
What? Sorry.
Are you at creating GUIs already?
Well, like I said, there's really no um lecture that happened. I just read
Okay,
the
okay,
the
okay,
Jedi manual.
right. So
Uh,
let's skip to the algorithm part, because the GUI, it's pretty easy to develop once you get like a text. But what you want to do is, you wanted to look at the method that takes in the string input and converts it to a string. So this is
oh, that I know how to do, but what
right.
for me, basically, what I'm trying is like the number conversions.
Okay, so
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
the number conversion, this is where it becomes tricky, because you have to not only use a string, but you have to use a class called integer that parses the string.
That I never understand the integer that parsed
Okay,
int. I never understand that.
so there's a the integer dot parse is based, it's a class, and this part, the dot part, is telling you there's methods to this class that you can use. And if you look up the Java documentation for your particular standard edition, you look up each class, and each of those class will have a different method per class. So integer is what's called a, it's a static class, but you don't have to instantiate it, meaning that you can use it without creating an object. I hope that actually is talking about object-oriented programming. Did you read about that?
Object. Oh, I think that's on
Object-oriented,
the later part. I
right?
haven't reached that chapter. I think um the last chapter that I read was about the command line, but I'm not even
Mhm.
finished with that.
Okay.
Because I'm still trying to figure out the arrays.
Arrays. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, from this, what I can do also, if I can also forward you this example, so that way you don't have to just depend on the video. I can just forward this example to you, so that you can try to follow the logic of how the thing is broken down into, as far as mm, I'll probably create it as a Google Doc, so that way you could just
Okay.
download it later. Um,
Sure.
so basically, that's the array. It's a class that parses a string. So this is the method, and you call this method called string to integer. So to look that up, it's actually being called numerous times to convert a word into a string with using a bunch of case statements and if statements. So the algorithm probably is the worst because it's really convoluted. So here's the thing. You have to remember that for each number, there's a length to it. So for example, all the single digits, they're 1 character length. So that's all the single digits. For the double digits, it's 2 character lengths, and these are all the 2 character lengths. But here's the cool part. After the double digits, you can actually recall the same method into the same logic. So this is a case of recursion that's being occurred. If you know about recursion, recursion basically says you have a method that calls itself so that it solves a problem. So string to integer basically saying I'm going to call myself again, but depending on the length, then I'll output the character plus. So this is where it gets really tricky at the when it starts to do case 20, 21, 22. So this is basically all the logic, and this particular algorithm goes up to 5 digits. When I first got this assignment, it was only supposed to be a 3-digit assignment, but I expanded it to 5 digits.
Oh, and that's the thing. It has to be like long. Because he's gonna try to test it with a lot. So even if it's like a long series of numbers that he types, say for example 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1, like 23 of it, it should still work.
So when it's depending, see if you go back to the calculator example, it's already been coded in Microsoft. There's already an example of it in calculator. So when you're talking about the octet and binary and hex, there's already an example of it in.
Yeah, that's basically what
right
I'm trying to do, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Except I have no idea how to do it.
Well, hopefully this example that I showed you, let me see if I could forward it to a Dropbox, so that way you have an example of the number to word. It actually shows you the logic of converting strings to integer. It's the same concept with the hex to decimal. You just have to figure out the correct binary string or hex string conversion, and I'm sure you can look those up online somewhere.
Well,
so, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, because no, I was just thinking. No, I think I kind of understand what you're saying.
Right.
Because I can't do anything right now.
Right. Because of your computer's loading. Yes. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a Dropbox, calling it Marlowe. I mean, not Dropbox, a Google Drive, calling it Marlowe, and then sharing it with you. So that way you have access to not only this brief example of a video, but also access to this number to word Java file. So if you need help to compile it, I'll show you how to compile it on this video too. So that way.
I thought that's why I'm using NetBeans.
Yeah, NetBeans will help you.
It's already a compiler.
Yes, NetBeans will help you compile it without having to use the command line. So if you drop this into NetBeans and you ask it to compile, it should still work because it's written in version. Let me see what version of Java am I writing it in. think I was using version 1.8, standard edition. So let me create a folder, call it Marlo.
Sure.
I'll make it pink. Well, you don't want the pink?
Oh, it's okay. You can use whatever color you want.
No, I'll pick a green, light green, a fern color, so that way it makes it look like you're gonna earn some big money once you get more established.
So. I'm starting to feel it. Enrolling in this university was like the big mistake.
No, it's a necessary step for you to get through the classes.
Well, you know how like in the US you got Harvard, like your top university. I'm studying in the top university in my country, and I think it was a big mistake that I enrolled there because like this is just the requirements are too much, and it's just too much. You can't take it anymore. I mean, it's a fast track program. I understand. Like, my subjects while you're doing that. Well, the first one was program logic formulation, and then Java 101, Java 102, IT and app security, and then we'd go to software engineering, and then project management, quality assurance, introduction to software testing, and then we would go to web designs. Web designs. That will be the last one, and we're required to make an individual IT project presentation.
Right.
And that's it. We graduate by March. And then if you wish to specialize in application development, you can do so. But then that will make you go back to school and then graduate in June. So
it's only by email, darn it. Shoot.
Oh, you have my email address, right?
No.
Oh, it should be there because like these are the handle that I'm using right now. That's basically my handle.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just add at gmail.com.
Marlow, Michigan, is that it?
Yeah.
It doesn't show me the.
Because I've always wanted to go to Michigan because nobody ever wants to go there, so I want to go there one day.
All right, let me just copy the name. Darn it. Is it Marlow, Michigan with like one?
Yeah, no space at all.
Okay.
It's gonna be like one word.
Okay.
Plus at gmail.com. So would it be alright if I try to get in touch with you once in a while if I don't understand something and just ask you to teach me?
Yeah.
So at least I can pass, at least until March. But you're like, because right now it's, what time is it for me? It's 10:53 p.m. So it's 6:53.
Yeah.
For you?
So
you're like I'm just gonna assume that like you're 4 hours, except you're gonna be an AM. -4 and then you're AM. Oh shoot, then I can't call you at night because you work at night, right?
No, I work during the day.
Wait, how are you gonna go to work?
How am I gonna go to work?
Yeah, did you go to sleep? Because like.
Yeah, I this Wednesday I won't be available though. I'll be taking a trip, but
Cool.
I'm available today and Thursday.
Thursday will be like Friday for me?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, right. Well, I'll message you because I'm gonna go out after class. I kind of have a date after class.
So I sent you the Java text demo and the number to word file to your Gmail.
Okay.
So you can look at that source code to kind of get an understanding of how the GUI works and the logic. And you have to remember, it has something to do with recursion. This example, it's calling itself to go back. So try to follow the recursion logic. So it's string to integer, and I think I tried to make it more condensed with string to integer too, but I don't remember if I've gotten that far. But when you run the program, it'll run it as a GUI, and then you can step through it if you need to see how the logic works, because this is what you need as far as converting hex to decimal. You just have to remember the algorithm to say, here's the file or here's the number, depending on the GUI options that you're choosing. So, so if you wanted to make it more button related, you can do that. That's the easiest way. I haven't done any radio buttons in Java to make it look very radio-like, but this example also looks at what's called the action listener, and try to follow that logic too, because it's listening for a button click, and then it's going to call a method to so just try to follow the logic for it if it's possible. Let me try to show it to you again, so that way you have a video example of it. Sure. When you look at it later.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. So the first part, the number to word, is basically building the GUI. It basically builds the GUI. There's a method within the class called create the GUI. So this basically says, I created the GUI and make it show. Basically, that's what it's doing. So, and then this method is actually called numerous times string to integer. So, but what you want to look at is not the method, but you want to look at the action listener. So it's action listener. And that's not the first one. It's the method. You want to look for the method that implements it, which I think, where is it? Let's, I'm trying to locate it right now. It should be on here. There you go.
That looks long.
So the action listener is, you have to override what's called an event called, a method called action performed. So from the action listener, it's what's called an interface. So that way your Java app can listen for something. So instead of you rewriting a action event, they called it action listener, but you override this one method called action event. And what the action event does, it listens for the button push, and it takes in the two buttons, either clear or enter. And then the enter one is the one that the enter one is the one that actually starts the calling the algorithm.
I see.
So again, this will be on the video for you to review, and you have the text and the thing, and it just gets you started on how to get a GUI going and how the logic goes, because you can apply this to your converting to octet, hex, decimal, because the same logic kind of applies.
Okay, I think.
Yep.
I just wish my computer would just finish updating. It just keeps restarting, and then that's the thing with getting a new computer. They get a lot of updates once you get them connected to the internet.
Okay, so do you have any like specific questions about programming or
I do, except they're all in my computer.
right?
Um, but yeah, I'm gonna try to remember some. Uh, uh well, um, because I wanted to show you what I've done, and I wanted to show you how, or ask you how I can fix those,
Mm-hmm.
or how to make them connect.
Right.
And that's for the calculator. And my concern with the rest is just
Well, with the
um
calculator, it's the same idea with the action listener. What you're doing is you're creating one action listener for the calculator that listens to how many buttons? 9 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 9, 0. And then you also listen for the character, either plus, minus, equals.
I don't remember seeing action listener from what my professor used. I think that's a bit too advanced, but um what he did was, like, I think parsed it
Oh,
so that
you parse the text. I see. Yeah.
I think that's what I remember. And um because well, that's basically it. That's when I usually get lost. And then I don't know how to do the phone book thing. I mean, I've made the menu again for the phone book,
Mm-hmm.
and then uh it's just I'm kind of still lost there after the menu. It's like basically I know how to make menus, except I don't know
The logic.
um the logic. No, no, I guess the logic, yeah, and then the syntax to
So,
use.
what you do with the phone book example, for each field that you input, for example, a first name and last name, you have to treat each field as something you're trying to save into either an array or a database. But in this case, you're probably saving it into an array.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
because
As
I haven't
long
really
as
touched it because I
as long as you know how to save a value into an array, then you're golden. Once you figure that out, then it's just a matter of getting the logic done.
I don't think I'm gonna get this before tomorrow night.
Right.
Because but yeah,
So
uh,
I think I'll be available Thursday, because if it's Tuesday night,
yeah,
or
but
Tuesday,
it needs to be submitted on Wednesday night on my end, so
right?
that'll be Tuesday morning. My deadline basically is 11:59 p.m. my time, so that'll be like around 10, 9, 8, around 7 in the morning, your
Uh-huh.
time. That's my deadline. Wednesday, 7 a.m. your time. That's my deadline. Uh, there.
Okay. So
So,
so you, as far as the next session is concerned, do you want to do this on a Thursday or a Friday?
uh, it- I'll let you know. Can I just send you a message, or
Yeah,
probably even better on a weekend?
send me a message
Cause
either through Facebook or yeah.
yeah, cause um, I kind of have a lot going on Friday because I have Japanese um assignments that are due
Mhm.
on Friday,
Right.
and then Friday night. Like I said, I have a date. Uh, Probably it would best it'll be like Friday morning,
Friday morning.
because that'll be like Saturday.
I see.
Oh wait, Friday evening. Saturday. Wait, your Friday evening is my Saturday morning, right?
Right.
Could that work? Like Saturday morning, my end.
So Friday evening would be 6, 7 p.m. for me.
That would be around. Oh, that'll be lunchtime for me.
Right. Well, reach
About
out.
like around.
Yeah, so reach out to me on Friday and see if you're, if you're.
Your Friday, my Friday.
I mean, reach out to me on Saturday. See if.
Okay, great.
See if you're
Yeah,
available.
like after lunch, so that'll be like
Okay, so I'm gonna
yeah.
stop. I'm gonna stop the stream now.
Okay.
So